here would say that you're like a leftovers kind of person? Like you like leftovers. You're always like, you're at restaurants, you're saving part of it for lunch tomorrow. Okay, but I think we can agree that I'm seeing some hands, I'm not seeing other. Who here thinks that's kind of gross? There's some? Okay, you guys are gonna help me like decide the debate because I feel like there's some things that are like okay to have for leftovers. There's some things that are not okay to have used or leftover or like given from somebody else. So we're gonna kind of decide today. Are you guys okay with that? So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna name something and then you're gonna raise your hand if you're like, yeah, that's okay to have leftover or used from someone else or like something like that, okay? Sound good? We all tracking? All right. First thing is pizza. Pizza leftovers? Yeah? Okay, that seems, okay. Clothes. Are you guys okay with clothes, leftover, used? Vintage is a thing. Thrifting. Yeah, we love thrifting. Okay. What about a toothbrush? Yeah, okay. I'm glad. I appreciate your honesty. What about like bedding? Like blankets and pillows, no? She's a G, man. She's like, all right, let's do it. Lotion, like someone else's, like you can borrow someone else's lotion. Yeah, okay. Last one, what about takeout? Like leftover Chinese food, we're okay with that? Okay. Thank you guys for helping me settle that, because I feel like some of those things are highly debated. Some people are like, that's so disgusting. Sometimes you're like, nah, I'm about it. Ellie's just about it all the time, and I appreciate that. My family growing up was a leftovers household, and so we just had leftovers all the time. Some days my mom would just cook so much food that we'd have entire nights where we had so many leftovers. My mom was like, I'm not cooking tonight. We'd have to collect the hodgepodge of leftovers and have those. I'm also a younger sister. Any younger siblings in this room? I have an older sister, and what that means, if you are a younger sibling, you know that means you get their hand-me-downs. So a lot of my clothes growing up were previously my sister's clothes. So I didn't get a lot of like new clothes, brand new clothes for me. So it always felt so special when someone would like gift me something specific that was new, or I got to pick out something brand new, like the best that I could choose. It was so special. Well, today we are jumping into our third week of this series, First and Best, and we're talking about generosity and why God calls us to give generously back to Him. And tonight we're gonna look at a story of the very first time that anybody ever gave a gift back to God. So to do that, we got to go all the way back to the very beginning, the very front of this book. And I'm going to give you a little intro before I jump into it. God creates two people, Adam and Eve. They're awesome. They're in a garden. They're having the best time. They decide that they know best. They mess up. They eat something that God had told them not to. And they end up inviting sin into this world. And then God has to kick them out of the garden. But that's not where their story ends. Oftentimes we're like, yeah, Adam and Eve, they messed everything up. How dare they? And then we don't talk about them again. But that's not where the story ends for them. They actually end up having two kids, two sons, one named Cain, the other one named Abel, A+ naming for them. But we're going to look at the story of their two sons. So if you have a Bible app, it'll be on the screens as well. We're going to jump in. It says in chapter 4, Genesis chapter 4, it says, in the course of time, Cain brought to the Lord an offering of the first fruits of the ground. And Abel also brought of the firstborn of his flock. So Cain is a farmer, Abel is a shepherd. That's important to know. Abel brought of the firstborn of his flock and of their fat portions. And the Lord had regard for Abel and his offering, but for Cain and his offering he had no regard. So Cain was very angry and his face fell. All right, what's happening here? Because from what we can see, they both gave God a gift, but God liked one gift, didn't like the other gift. Is God just being mean? Is he playing favorites? Does he just like barbecue more than he likes fruit salad? What's happening? And I would say that you have to look a little bit deeper at what is happening here. So Cain brought to the Lord an offering of the fruits. But Abel brought the best of what he had. He brought the firstborn of his flock, the first ones that he had ever received, the first ones that his sheep had ever had, the best of what he had. So Cain brought an offering. Abel brought the best. And this is important to note because it shows us their heart posture. Because Cain is bringing some of his fruit. Abel is bringing something that actually matters to him. Who here would say that they're a good gift giver? A good gift giver? Okay. Silas, tell me, what makes a good gift? Making someone, yeah. Would he wear that? Something that's personal to them, their style, that kind of thing. Anybody else? What makes a good gift? It means something to them, yeah. Absolutely. You put time and thought into it. Yeah, it's something that makes them feel known, something that makes them feel valued, something that might make them feel loved because it's like you're showing them how much you care about them. And here's the thing, guys. The importance that we put on the gift can often show us the importance we are putting or the value we are putting on the person. The importance we put on the gift shows us the value we're putting on the person. I want you to think about, like, if you were to invite over the King of England or Taylor Swift or whoever your favorite celebrity is to your house for dinner, you wouldn't just give them your leftovers. You wouldn't like go look in your fridge and be like, yeah, I've got 2-day-old pizza and half like a chicken wing and some chicken nuggets that I had last night. That should be good. No, you wouldn't give them your leftovers. You'd probably put together as the best meal that you possibly could. So why do we give God, the creator of the universe, our leftovers? Our leftover time. We have so much time in the day, but we get so busy with all the things we want to do, all the things that maybe we have to get done. And we're like, yeah, we'll spend time with God when we have it, if we have it. We give God our busyness. What about what we spend money on? We spend money on things that we want. We're like coffee orders, that shirt that you wanted, that new style that's super in, or that new, maybe you're more of a technology person. You're like, I need to have the newest iPhone. We spend money on the things that we want, but how often do we think about spending our money on the things that matter to God or the things that He's telling us to spend them on? We give Him our leftovers. And here's the thing, guys, God doesn't want your leftovers. He wants your best. We're going to look back at the story. Cain is super upset with the Lord, and God comes to him, and here's what God says to Cain. He says, the Lord said to Cain, "Why are you angry? Why has your face fallen? If you do well, will you not be accepted? And if you do not do well, sin is crouching at the door. Its desire is contrary to you, but you must rule over it." God is saying to Cain, hey, you're missing it right now. Hey, you're missing what I'm trying to tell you. It's not about what your brother gave. It's where your heart was. And you need to be so careful right now. You need to realign yourself with what I care about and with what I say. Otherwise, you have a danger. It says the sin is contrary to you, which sometimes in the translations can be used as like, think about like a prowling lion. Like it's ready to consume you. So you need to be so careful to realign yourself right now. Think of realigning of like if you're going to lift weights at the gym, you got to like align your back and your body so you can actually pick up the weight. Otherwise, you're going to hurt yourself. And God is saying, Cain, be careful right now because you are out of alignment. You are not caring about the things that I care about. You are not looking at what I actually want from you. You're upset because I didn't give you what you wanted, but you aren't in alignment. You didn't give me the things that I actually care about. You're not in alignment with what I care about. And why does God care about this? He cares because He wants us to be well. He wants our heart. Why does God ask the best? Yes, he deserves it, but he also wants our heart. And when we are not in alignment with him, then we can run into dangerous things. We allow sin to start creeping into our lives. When we're not giving God the best of our time, we allow other things to distract us. We allow things to creep in and be like, oh no, actually, you should care more about what you look like than about what God says about you. Oh, you should really listen to what that person says and do what they're doing because that's going to give you value instead of listening to what God says and what God cares about. And unfortunately, Cain doesn't listen to God. You find out in the next couple verses that Cain actually invites his brother Abel out to the fields and then murders him. He kills his own brother over this thing that was in his heart. The very thing that God warned him against. He said, Cain, be careful. You're letting this get you sideways. But if you do what is right, you'll get what you're after. And here's the danger that I want you guys to see, that I see in myself sometimes. And this is the thing about when people talk about giving, when they talk about giving your money, giving your time, giving your talents, the thing we can sometimes run into is this very thing. We blame others for our own disobedience. We blame others. Cain got sideways. He blamed Abel for his own lack of obedience. He was like, no, if I just had what he had, if I just had that talent, or if I looked that way, then I would please God. If I just had the money that they have, if I just made that money, of course I would give to God. If I just was able to sing like they sing, of course I would please God. And we blame others for what we believe we don't have. And we blame others for not listening to what God is telling or asking us to do. So be careful not to get sideways. And the truth is, guys, that God doesn't play favorites. God doesn't play favorites. He made every single one of us uniquely, specifically, with gifts and talents and abilities in specific families, with specific history. And he doesn't play favorites. He wants your best. Not compared to someone else's, yours. He wants what you can give because he is the one that put it in you to begin with. It's all his, and he is asking you to just give him what he's already given you. God doesn't want your leftovers. He wants your best, and that is not determined or in comparison to others. And Jesus shows us this so clearly when he's hanging out at the temple one day, and this is one of the clearest times that I can see Jesus' heart in this and see grasp an example of it. It's in Luke 21, 1-4. It says, Jesus looked up, he's at the temple. He looked up and saw the rich putting their gifts and offerings into the box. And he saw a poor widow put in 2 small coins. And he said, truly, I tell you, this poor widow has put in more than all of them. For they all contributed out of their abundance, but she, out of her poverty, put in all she had to live on. God doesn't measure how you and I measure. He doesn't use human scales. We're like, wow, that person's so successful. They have so many followers on Instagram. God doesn't measure how you and I measure. He measures based on our heart and our intent. If a widow who puts in 2 small coins measures so much more because it was the best and all that she had, then imagine how much God can do with whatever you have. So stop comparing. God doesn't want your leftovers. He wants your best, and that is not determined in comparison to others. It's not. And that is what's so beautiful about the tithe. God calls us, in the Bible we read about a tithe. It just means 10%. A tithe just means 10. It's 10%. God calls us to give 10% of what we have. 10% of our time. So what would it look like? I want you guys to put your thinking caps on for a second. What would it look like for you to give 10%? Because 10% for me can look different than 10% for someone else. God didn't give us a specific amount. He didn't say, I need you to give $1,000, like a specific numerical amount. He said 10%. That is determined on whatever circumstances you have. 10%. So what would it look like for you to give 10% of what you have to God? 10% of your time. There's 186 hours in a week. We're going to do some quick math. 186 hours in a week. If we subtract around 8 hours a night, because you're sleeping, you're unconscious, maybe not saying that, you're left with around 130 hours. 10% of 130, quick math, 13. 13 hours. That's roughly a little over an hour, close to 2 hours a day. And that can feel like a lot. So we're just going to go with like an hour. Let's start an hour a day. That can feel like a lot. Like, even as I was looking at those numbers, I was like, ooh, that can feel hefty. But guys, I think if all of us were super honest and we checked our screen time on our phones, on our video games, on our computers right now, I have a feeling we all have an hour we could spend with God. I'm just saying, I know that's true for me. I'm feeling the weight of that too. I think we all have more time than we think we have. So what would it look like to give God 10% of your time? What would it look like for God to give God 10% of what you earn? Whether that's through chores, whether that's a job that you have, whether that's an allowance, what would it look like to give God 10% of what you earn and trust that He is still going to take care of you, that He is still going to provide for you, that He loves you enough to take care of your needs, and meet you where you're at. And maybe you won't get everything that you want, but you will have everything that you need. What would it look like for you to give 10% of your gifts and talents? Of whatever that looks like. Maybe it's serving at church, maybe it's encouraging someone at school, maybe it's just inviting people into your circle. What would it look like to give God 10% of your gifts and talents, whatever that unique talent may be? Because God doesn't want your leftovers, He wants your best. So we're going to talk more about that in our small groups, but I'm going to pray for you guys real quick. Hey, Jesus, thank you so much for today. God, thank you that you have given us everything. You gave us your Son on the cross. You gave us your best. And God, I just ask that you be with each one of these students as they process this, as they pray about what you are asking them to give right now. God, I just ask that you give them courage to take an actionable step today to give you 10%, to give you their best, to give you that thing that is holding them back right now, God. Holding them back from trusting you more, holding them back from going deeper in their relationship with you. God, I just ask that you identify that for them right now, Holy Spirit, that you would show them where it is in their life that they are holding on to something and caring about something more than they care about you. And God, I just ask that you give them the courage to take a step towards alignment with you. In Jesus' name, amen.